Imagine gliding across the Atlantic on a calm December morning in 1872. The sea's a slick sheet of glass, eerily quiet. You're aboard the Dei Gracia when you spot another vessel, just drifting. Your first thought? Maybe it's damaged, abandoned after a storm. But as you approach, you see the hull intact, the sails fluttering, and not a soul in sight. No wreckage, no chaos. Just absolute emptiness, a ghost ship adrift. Now you might be thinking, could the crew be below deck? Let me tell you, a quick search reveals food laid out, boots under the captain's bed, cargo safe in the hold. But every living soul is gone. This was the Mary Celeste, and her story would ignite the greatest maritime riddle of all time. What kind of event leaves a ship in perfect order but utterly deserted? In nautical terms, she was seaworthy, her hull free of damage, her cargo of industrial alcohol untouched. Even the logbook was still open, as if someone had just walked away mid-sentence. It's as if the crew evaporated, leaving only spectral order behind. No storm damage, no blood, no evidence of piracy. And yet the lifeboat, the only escape route, was missing. Picture it. A fully stocked ship, adrift, waiting for answers. There's a technical term for this: derelict. But in the world of shipping, a derelict is usually battered by storms, not preserved like a snapshot in time. This was no ordinary abandonment. The Mary Celeste began her journey with 10 souls: Captain Benjamin Briggs, his wife Sarah, their daughter Sophia, and a trusted crew. But none would ever be seen again. What could have compelled them to leave everything behind? Let's pause for a moment. If you were the captain, would you abandon your ship, the vessel you command, your family on board without a fight? That's the chilling heart of this story. Everything seemed normal until suddenly it wasn't. The calm wasn't just the sea, it was the silence after everyone vanished. What was it about that moment, that place, that transformed an ordinary voyage into an unsolved disappearance? That's what we're diving into today. Let me take you inside the Mary Celeste as she set sail from New York, bound for Italy. Picture sturdy oak decks, the tang of alcohol barrels below, and the glow of lanterns at dusk. Captain Briggs was known for discipline, a man who checked every detail. His wife Sarah brought warmth. Their daughter Sophia, barely 2, turned the ship into a floating home. The crew? Seasoned hands, men who knew the Atlantic's moods. The voyage began routine, even hopeful until it didn't. Here's where the mystery deepens. On November 25th, the logbook noted their position near the Azores. The technical term here is logbook entry, the written heartbeat of any journey. Weather? Fair. Seas? Moderate. No storm clouds. No distress signals sent. Then, nothing. No scribbled warnings, no desperate SOS, just silence. The final entry was as ordinary as any, yet it was their last. Now, you might be thinking, if something was wrong, wouldn't the captain have written it down? That's what haunts historians to this day. The logbook is the soul of a ship. To leave it unfinished suggests whatever happened fast or was so strange. Words failed. The crew's personal effects were left, meals half prepared, navigation instruments untouched. In nautical terms, the ship was shipshape. Imagine you're in their shoes. You're days from land, conditions are stable, but something unrecorded demands you abandon ship. What force, fear, or confusion would drive such an act? That's the riddle at the heart of the Mary Celeste, the setup to a conflict nobody saw coming. With the Mary Celeste towed to Gibraltar, the world demanded answers. Investigators pored over every inch, looking for clues. They considered all the textbook suspects: mutiny, piracy, mechanical failure, even sabotage. The technical term here is forensic analysis, and it revealed nothing. No blood on the decks, no signs of violence, cargo seals unbroken. Only the lifeboat was missing, as if the crew had left in an orderly panic. One theory blamed alcohol fumes. The Mary Celeste carried barrels of industrial spirits. Leakage could have filled the ship with explosive vapor. Imagine hearing a bang below deck. You grab your family, order the crew to the lifeboat, and wait it out. But the ship never explodes, and the lifeboat is lost to the sea. Plausible, right? Until you realize the cargo was intact, barrels largely sealed, not a drop spilled. Mutiny? Some say the crew overpowered Briggs. But there's no evidence, no missing valuables, no bloodshed, no chaos. Pirates? Same story, the cargo wasn't worth much, and nothing was looted. Then there's the waterspout theory, a sudden column of water terrifying the crew. But the ship was dry. Not a single logbook line hints at disaster. Now you might protest. Surely there must be an ordinary reason. But sometimes logic runs aground against mystery. When every rational cause is eliminated, what's left is unsettling. That's when the ghost stories began to creep in the tales of unnatural fog and strange electromagnetic disturbances. But before we cross into the supernatural, let's pause. Would you board a lifeboat in the open Atlantic with no storm or imminent threat? The Mary Celeste's crew did, and left behind only questions. Let me tell you a story that many historians dismiss, but sailors whisper. Along the Azores, old fishermen speak of a fog unlike any other dense, heavy, swallowing sound and light. They call it a dead calm, but it's anything but peaceful. Now, you might roll your eyes at superstition, but listen to this. Near the Azores, there have been reports, going back generations, of compasses spinning unpredictably, what scientists call magnetic anomalies. Ships caught in this fog saw their instruments go haywire, temperature drop, and strange whispers echoing across the water. Skeptics scoff, of course. But then there's the account of a Portuguese fisherman. Years after the Mary Celeste's disappearance, he told of a ship enveloped in unnatural mist lanterns flickering below deck, footsteps pacing above. He saw no one, yet the vessel moved as if alive. When shown a sketch of the Mary Celeste decades later, he allegedly went pale. "That's the ship," he whispered. Now, whether you believe him or not, this story adds a layer of unease. The technical terms at play: rogue waves, gigantic unforeseen swells that can upend even the largest vessels, and electromagnetic disturbance energy fields that disrupt compasses and even timepieces. Both have been documented in the Azores, but rarely together, and never as an explanation for total disappearance. Now you might say, fog, waves, magnetic weirdness. Surely that's just nature being unpredictable. But the pattern here is more than bad weather. It's as if some environmental force, call it nature, call it anomaly, compelled the crew to flee, leaving everything behind. So the question lingers. Was the Mary Celeste a casualty of nature's wildest tricks? Or did she cross into something stranger, an atmospheric phenomenon we have yet to understand? That's the tension caught between science and superstition. Here's a detail almost everyone forgets. When investigators finally boarded the Mary Celeste, they found her chronometer essentially a ship's clock used for precise navigation, slightly misaligned. Not broken, not jammed, but off, as if time itself had hiccuped. This is more than a technicality. A chronometer is the captain's lifeline, used to calculate longitude, crucial for crossing the vast Atlantic. If it's even a little askew, you can lose your way in the blue infinity. Now, let's spin a hypothetical. What if the fog, the electromagnetic forces, even the eerie calm, did more than scare the crew? What if it actually distorted time on board, causing disorientation, fear, even hallucinations? It's a wild thought, but some modern researchers believe such anomalies could trigger panic or confusion so intense, even an experienced captain might abandon ship. After her salvage, the Mary Celeste changed hands, suffered bad luck, and eventually wrecked for good. Some say she was cursed, her name forever, linked to loss. But none of her later misfortunes ever explained the original tragedy. The technical term here? Anomalous event, something science can't yet explain, but can't quite ignore either. So I ask you, if everything logical fails and the sea keeps her secrets, what do we make of the chronometer that skipped time? What do we make of a ship that sailed on empty, while history just moved on? That's the unresolved note that lingers like the echo of footsteps on a ship that should have been full of life, but sailed the Atlantic with only silence as cargo. So here we are at the end of the Mary Celeste's journey, standing on the edge of certainty and myth. The ship herself was eventually wrecked, sold off, her story nearly lost to time. Yet the questions won't sink. Why would a respected captain, a man with his family aboard, abandon a seaworthy ship? Why did the ocean return the vessel, but not a single soul? Let me ask you directly. If history records only the facts, who tells the story of the silence between those facts? When we look at the Mary Celeste, we're not just staring at a puzzle. We're peering into the heart of the unknown, a place where reason falters and the extraordinary becomes possible. Maybe the answer lies in the waves, in the fog, in the whisper of a chronometer just slightly out of sync with the world. Or maybe some mysteries are meant to endure, reminding us how little we really know about the forces that shape our fates. Now you might be thinking, surely someone, somewhere, must have solved it by now. But the Mary Celeste endures because she refuses to fit any single answer. She's a ghost on the water, a story that haunts every sailor who's ever watched the horizon and wondered what waits just out of sight. This is Forgotten Ink, where we search the silence, not just the facts, because sometimes what vanishes was never meant to return. And that, I think, might be the greatest mystery of all.